Hello and welcome to Your Choice 2024 primary election coverage on HOMTV. I'm your host, Danisha McDowell. Today, we're here for a candidate interview with Cutis Hertel, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 7th Congressional District. Cutis, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. At this time, if you may briefly introduce yourself to the viewing audience.
Cutis Hertel, I was your state senator, served there for 8 years, was proud to serve this community. Always proud to be on HOMTV. I think it's just amazing the amount of information that's available to people in this community and the amount of programming and interest that you guys show in the election. I think it's very rare in today's world, and so I really appreciate all the work that HOMTV does.
Thank you so much. Each 7th district candidate will be asked a standard list of questions, starting with question number 1. Please explain how your education and professional background make you an ideal candidate for the 7th Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives.
So I've lived in this community my entire adult life. I came to this community to go to college, went to Michigan State University, studied at James Madison College. I ran for county commission when I was 22 years old. I remember my first times in this studio during those times. What really has prepared me is that we need leaders that are going to work together to get things done. What I think we've seen in this country is two parties that fight a lot, spend a lot of time on Facebook and Twitter and Fox News and MSNBC, but don't actually spend a lot of time working with each other to get things done for the American people. My career has been based on finding those spaces between people. So whether it was cutting taxes for working families or bringing 5,000 good new union jobs to this community, or protecting abortion rights in Michigan, all those things were done by finding partners that were willing to work with us. I think the country has a lot of problems. It has a lot of things that need to be fixed, but none of those things get fixed if we don't find a way to work together. So that's my focus, and that's what I would be focused on in Congress.
Please tell us about the communities and people of the 7th Congressional District and how you plan to meet their needs.
Yeah, I love this district because it's a microcosm of America. So this district has rural, suburban, and urban voters. It has people of all different races and religions. It has the campus of Michigan State University. So it really is, this district looks like America, and if you go to any corner of the district, people care about different things. But in my conversations with people, what they share is just a frustration. They feel like today's politics have gotten more coarse and more mean, and they've also gotten more about talk and less about actually doing. And they're also have seen their rights be taken away. And we've seen, I think the history of this country is, the story of the country is the fight for a more perfect union, to work towards who we are as a country, the promise that was America, that was imperfect in its founding. But when you look at a country where women have lost their reproductive rights, and all those kinds of attacks that are happening on freedoms here, I think that's what people want. And so when I see, even though we're all different, urban, suburban, and rural, I think most people want the same things. They want to be able to raise their family. They want to be able to afford a better future for their children. And they want to be free. And I think those are things that we can all hold together as we talk to people throughout this district.
Thank you. The next several questions will cover prominent issues throughout the state. In 2022, Proposal 2 was passed by Michigan voters. This proposal brought numerous changes to elections in Michigan and the ways people can vote. Now that these changes have been put into practice, can you tell me your thoughts about these changes?
Yeah, I support it. I mean, I think that we want a robust democracy. We want people to be part of the process. And I think the proposal makes that happen. We need free and fair elections in America. And I think that Proposal 2 guarantees that.
In 2022, Michigan voters also passed Proposal 3, the right to reproductive freedom in Michigan. Please share your stance on abortion and the governing of abortion in both Michigan and the United States.
I'm pro-choice. I believe that a woman has a right to her own body, and I believe that that's one of the most basic rights that you have. And the idea that that's a threat is terrifying. I mean, the idea that my children will be less free than their grandmother was, I think pangs a lot of people in this community. I was proud to work with Governor Whitmer to undo the 1931 abortion law here in Michigan, one of the most draconian statutes in the state, in the country. And I think that we need a reproductive health act at the federal level to make sure that, you know, there are these terrible stories that are happening in other states of women that are sitting in parking lots waiting to be just sick enough to be able to receive reproductive care. We can't live like this. The world can't be like this. And, you know, my opponent, this is a big difference between him and I. He sponsored legislation in the state legislature that would have put doctors and nurses in jail and would have put women's reproductive health care at risk. He even sponsored legislation that would have said that life begins at conception, which means that IVF and some forms of birth control would be at risk. He said he's 100% pro-life without exceptions. He also said that women in Michigan don't care about abortion any longer. I think that the one thing that women really love is a dude telling them what they care about. So at the end of the day, this is a huge difference between me and my opponent. And I think it's one of the most important, fundamental parts of this campaign and really a decision on who we are as a country.
Share your thoughts on Michigan's current infrastructure and any improvements you hope to see.
You know, I think a big part of being in Congress is actually making sure we get our fair share of dollars back. You know, we have big problems. Even in this community, people think of Okemos as being more well off, but some of the flooding problems that are happening there, we need infrastructure dollars here. You know, this country is finally making those investments through some of the things that were done under the Biden administration, but we got to make sure that we get our dollars back. You know, this is one of the things I fought for when I was in the state legislature. One of the problems we have in our state is that the formula is set up so that rural areas, less traveled areas, get more money than others, the more populated areas. And that doesn't work for us because we see the crumbling infrastructure around us every single day. So for me, as a member of Congress, I want to make sure that if there are infrastructure dollars available, they're coming back to our community and solving problems in our community like the flooding we have here.
How do you plan to address economic instability and inflation within the state?
Yeah, I think it's a huge problem, not just in the state, but in the country. What I would say is that, you know, families are hurting. You know, they keep being told that the economy is better. I'll say that most people can find a job. It's just hard to find a job that actually will pay your bills. Hard to find a job that will help you raise a family. This generation coming up right now is the slowest generation in American history to buy a house, to start a family. And a lot of it's because it's become so difficult in America. You look at who we are. In 1960, the average employee made, the average CEO made 50 times what their employees made. Pretty good deal. Now it's 360 times. So we've seen wages not increase over time. We got to solve that. I also think that people don't want a handout. They're not looking for that. They're looking for help. And so we can make housing more affordable. We can make childcare more affordable. Childcare is one of the biggest parts, hardest parts for young families. And finally, we have to, you know, we at the state level, we actually cut working families' taxes. We did a working families tax cut. We did ended the retirement tax. We did those things because it was the right thing to do. And I was part of that. We need to do that on the national level. We need a tax policy that works for middle-class Americans. We cannot be balancing our budgets on the backs of them. Those are the people that actually do the jobs that make America who we are. So I think we have to do that. I also think that we have to look at some of the biggest drivers of cost in America. Healthcare costs keep skyrocketing because of the cost of prescription drugs. America is the only country in the world that does not use the power of the federal government to negotiate drug prices down. Every other country in the world does it. We pay the most high prices of any other country. We're one of only 2 countries that allows pharmaceutical companies to advertise to us, so that us in New Zealand. So we're paying for the advertising budgets, all the discounts of the rest of the world, and these large parachutes that CEOs and everybody are getting out of these pharmaceutical companies. And we're in Congress not doing the job of actually saving the American taxpayer money. That to me just shows you how broken the system is. There is nobody out there that could argue that prescription drug prices are fair in America, because they could look at any other country and they would tell you that they aren't. And so we have to remember who we work for. The people in Congress don't work for the pharmaceutical companies or the lobbyists or any of those people. They work for the people in their district. And to me, if we can't solve such a basic thing that every other country has been able to solve and lower the cost of prescription drugs, well then of course inflation is going to keep hurting people.
Recently, Michigan's automotive companies have experienced challenges related to consumer interests in electric vehicles and labor group interest in wage increases. How do you think the state of Michigan should be involved in supporting these companies?
Yeah, I'm excited that we're building new factories here in America, specifically in Michigan. I don't care whether it's an electric car or a internal combustion engine. What I care about is are we building those? Where are the jobs? And we're building them right here in Michigan. And to me, that is when I worked with Governor Whitmer and Republican leaders and Democratic leaders in business and labor to bring 5,000 jobs and a new auto plant to this district, it's one of the most important things I could have done. My opponent voted against it 5 times. And to me, that's what we have to focus on, is actually where are those jobs coming, because they're the jobs of tomorrow. I don't think we should be telling people what they have to buy. I think some of these people that want to push, too far on the EV side, saying that people have to buy them, I'm not interested in that. It's not government's job to tell you what you have to buy. But I do think that we have a responsibility to make it a little easier. So what I like about living in mid-Michigan is we're 2 hours from 2 of the most beautiful Great Lakes, right? But if you have an electric vehicle, sometimes it can be hard to find a charging station between those 2 places. We need to build that infrastructure out. You can give all the rebates and everything else you want, but if you don't figure that out, no one's buying those cars. So I think we have to actually figure out those investments in order to make that work as well. But at the end of the day, Michigan, one of the things we are, is we're people who build things. We should have learned through the pandemic that supply chains are a big deal. I mean, we couldn't find masks, we couldn't find ventilators. We had a whole Michigan State parking lot full of cars that could not be sold because of one small chip that cost a few dollars to make. Because it was made over in China, we couldn't get it here. It is crazy to think that we ever could live in a world again where we depend on anybody else. We are Michigan people. We build things, we manufacture things. We need to be making sure that all of those jobs are coming back to America, and specifically coming back to Michigan.
What do you believe to be the biggest issue facing your district, and how do you plan to address it?
We've talked about a couple of them, but I do think a big part of what the biggest issue is a feeling that Congress gets almost nothing done. Congress passed 26 bills last year. I don't know if there's a perfect number, and I'm not saying every problem in America has a bill. But the idea that they can only get 26 bills passed, and that most of those were actually just paying the bills, oftentimes late, they've forgotten who they work for. And so For me, I think we have a responsibility to listen to people, to have conversations, to be civil, and not always agree, but find ways to actually improve people's lives. And so when it comes to reproductive rights, when it comes to lowering the cost of families, when it comes to solving the crisis of the southern border, none of those things get done if we don't find ways to actually work together. And so that's where I think the biggest issue is that I think Congress has lost its way. It's gotten to a point where people think they're celebrities and that their job is to actually go out and be on the news, on cable news, and their job is to, be on Twitter or Facebook, whatever that stuff. That's not the job. The job is to find the spaces between tough disagreements to actually get things done for people. And so that's what I think the biggest issue is that people care about in this district.
We've reached our final question. Please provide a closing statement sharing your goals for your district and the state.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. I think that HOMTV is amazing, and I think it's really important that we actually have these conversations. I've built my career about working across the aisle and getting things done. I think that we are at a time in America where we have lots of problems, but none of them get solved without actually finding those spaces. And so if you're looking for a candidate that will protect reproductive rights, will find ways to lower cost of everyday living, including the cost of prescription drugs, and will try to solve problems for you. I've been that candidate in the state Senate. I've been that person in the state Senate. And I look forward to the opportunity of serving you again. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining me, Cutis. And thank you for watching this candidate interview with Cutis Hertel, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 7th Congressional District. I'm Denisha McDowell. Thank you for watching.